Ryan Blaney wins at Martinsville to punch his ticket to the Championship 4. He'll race for a title next Sunday in Phoenix. We'll talk about it next on NASCAR America Motormouths. Hey everyone, Marty Snider, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte joining you here on NASCAR America Motormouths today. So the Championship 4 is set. Ryan Blaney with a big win at Martinsville. But Steve, it just wasn't Martinsville for the 12 team. That's what put him in the Championship 4. They've had speed this entire round of 8. Team Penske, much maligned for really all year long. Where did all the speed come from all of a sudden?
Rinse, repeat, just moved from the 22 to the 12. This is the same thing for the second year. A year ago, it was Joey Logano, who had a very average season until it mattered the most, and then he showed up and he was the champ. This year, it's Ryan Blaney, although I'm not sure you could call a 3-win season in this day and age of NASCAR an average season. There's a long list of drivers that would love to have a win this year. Forget about 3. But here is Ryan Blaney with his 3rd win. And you mentioned it, speed in the playoffs. Now he has a chance to head out to the desert and chase a championship.
All right, Jeff, let's break down the Championship 4 as it sits right now for the NASCAR Cup Series, starting with Ryan Blaney. I mean, he's finished 2nd in the last 2 Phoenix races. Can you make an argument he's the favorite going in?
Well, I can make a favorite that he is because not only that, he's run so well at Phoenix. Also, if you look at what he's done the last 2 weeks, like Steve just talked about, how they put everything together. I mean, they honestly, you can make an argument, had the fastest car each of the last 2 weeks on 2 drastically different kind of racetracks. So, yeah, they've connected the dots somehow. They have a lot of speed. I felt like he had the fastest car last year. His teammate was racing for the championship, and I think he was very kind to him. But yeah, I think you can make a case that he's a favorite.
All right, Steve, what do you think about Christopher Bell? Obviously, with the big win at Miami, you know, the 20 team's been hit and miss. They clearly have the speed. Execution's been the issue for that team this year. Make a case for why they can be the champion.
Well, if you look at the numbers, maybe you would say he's not the favorite, right? Only 142 starts and 6 wins, but let's not forget 3 of these 6 wins came in the playoffs when it all mattered with all the pressure on the line. And even though he's 28 years old, it's his 2nd trip to the Championship 4. I wonder what he learned going through this process a year ago. Perhaps he was a little bit emotionally worn out. Remember what it took to get there last year. This year they won early. I agree. Execution is really the only question I have for Christopher Bell. It really comes down to can they put together the pit stops when it matters? I don't know how many times we could talk about it. Pit road, pit road, pit road. That's the Achilles heel. That'll be the question mark.
How about for William Byron, Jeff? You know, they had an incredible speed in the round of 12. And the round of 8's it was really okay for the 24 team, but they won Phoenix in the spring. How do you feel about their shot to get it done Sunday?
Well, that's what you go back to, right? You won Phoenix in the spring, but you gotta. Do you put yesterday behind you? You know, do you put Sunday at Martinsville behind you? Like, they just were not very good. I was shocked how poorly they ran, but you know, they came through it. They figured that out. The work they did in the first 2 races is what got them through, and that's the sign of a good race team, right? You did enough good work to where you could have a bad day and still come out of there. So. Yeah, I think William Byron, look, one thing about William too is that I don't think any of this stuff bothers him. Like, I don't feel like, you know, this week he's going to be all tense and worried. And I just feel like he's contended for enough championships and other series, and he has a lot of confidence. And I think you can make an argument, because you could make a real argument that he has been one of the 3 fastest cars all year long.
Boy, Steve, it feels like a month ago that Kyle Larson won at Las Vegas. I mean, so much has happened since then. Obviously, they've had a couple of weeks to get ready for Phoenix. You know, what does that look like for Cliff Daniels at the shop as they've kind of tried to focus on, you know, Miami and Martinsville, but also worrying about Phoenix and having those 2 extra weeks to prepare?
Well, history would say having those 2 extra weeks is a key. We've seen it lead to a championship before, and Jeff just said William Byron was one of the 3 fastest cars all year long. Well, let me tell you who's been the fastest. And that's the 5 of Kyle Larson. Now, he only has 4 wins, and I think it is fair to say only 4, because he's been the best in at least double-digit races. There's been at least 10 races where he was hands down the best car. They found a way to not win. The 4 wins mask the mistakes, and I think it's going to come down to simply that. Let's remember, this is a team that won in this round of 8 with a pit stop that put the 5 car out front. and they won the race. That's exactly the same signature he used to win the championship. And for the concerns on pit road for other teams, in my mind, there's zero concern for Kyle Larson. I think his pit crew can't wait to give their driver track position late.
Yeah, both he and William Byron have terrific pit crews, and they've had them all year long. Going to ask you guys to pick a champion, but before we get to that, Steve, do you find this championship 4 to maybe be the hardest to say this driver definitely the favorite going in?
Well, I think it's that way, and so note the sports books. If you look at Vegas, right, they're all basically heads up. Larson is a little bit of a favorite. They're making Christopher Bell a little bit of a long shot, but when I say little, there's very little wiggle room between them. I think everyone's having a hard time to handicap them, and I think that's going to be the challenge all week long. Practice is going to really tell us a lot, Jeff. I think that's going to show us who perhaps we believe can be the favorite when we see who unloads with the best speed.
So, yeah, this is a very tough pick. We having the fastest race car, that doesn't complete the circle. You have to have the fastest race car. You have to have the best restarts. You have to drive the best, and you have to have pit stops. And, I can make a case of a few years ago, Brad Keselowski had the fastest car, could have won the race, couldn't get it done on pit road, kept losing spots. I agree with Steve. I think the 5 car, they have the best pit crew going into this race, and I think ultimately that shines because these guys always race against each other. Rarely do we see a playoff guy running 15th and everybody else running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. They always seem to find themselves in the front. That means you're toe-to-toe on pit road. Every pit stop matters. I give the advantage to the 5 car. So because of that, he's my favorite going in.
All right, Steve, who do you have?
Can I take whichever one qualifies the best? Because I think whichever pit crews in pit stall 1 is going to be the champion.
Love that call because that's how Kyle Larson won the championship. We'll find out on Sunday on NBC. Thanks for watching NASCAR America Motormouths presented by Toyota.